Good morning, all. Let's start the today's session. Before starting the session, let me just give you a recap as we have 3 days gap there. And in the demo session, in the first session, which we have taken on Thursday, we just discussed about the demos. I mean to say, what is Salesforce and what is the position of Salesforce in the market? And regarding the job positions, that's what we are discussing in the demo session. And after that, in the trial account, the first class is like creation of trial account. As you know, the trial account is very much necessary to do your daily activities. I mean to say in the Salesforce to practice and all. Further, the prerequisite to create a Salesforce trial account is to have one Gmail ID. With the Gmail ID, it is as simple as you are creating a Gmail account. So just to provide the first name, last name, and Gmail ID, that will help you to create an Salesforce account. Once you are providing these details, one link will be sent to your mail ID. And from there, you need to click on that link. That link is nothing but your organization URL. So here we are going to refer it as organization URL. That is nothing but your instance URL where you can access your Salesforce account. And there you need to reset the password. And after resetting the password, you are able to log into the system. So to log into the system, you no need to remember all this lengthy URL. Simple, you can use login.salesforce.com and your user ID. This user ID will be seen from your mail ID. Once you are providing one mail ID, right? In the same email ID, you are able to, in the same email inbox, you are able to see the user ID. And while discussing the Salesforce, we just given some information about what is multi-tenant architecture. Why? Because in the backend, what's happening there? I mean to say, once you are creating a Salesforce account, what actually happening in the backend? I mean to say, now let's say the simple example of Gmail account. You are creating one Gmail email address is nothing but they're allocating some space to your inbox to receive or sending an emails, right? In the same way, once you are creating an account in the Salesforce need to assign some space to you in their server, right? So here the spaces and all, whatever the terminology which we are going to refer here is tenant. Tenant is nothing but it is some space allocated to a customer where all his environments in the sense now any organization can have development instance where the development activity will perform. And after the development, they will do some quality acceptance testing for that separate instance. And again, regular user UAT, user acceptance test, and then production. So for each and every instance, they will create a different instances, right? So all the instances will be available in one space, which is allocated to you. That is nothing but the tenant here. So to make you understand, to show you the difference between the other CRM applications, like there are so many competitors in the market, like Dynamic CRM, SAP CRM, Oracle CRM. Further, to make you understand, I just discussed about multi-tenant architecture on the day with some example of, with some image there. Where in the multi-tenant architecture is nothing but Salesforce will be act as a multi-tenant architecture. That means same domain applications can use the same tenant. I mean to say, now let's say I am working for a banking domain. I'm just registered my Salesforce account for a banking domain, like ICICI Bank. Now let's say HDFC Bank. So both will be allocated with a single tenant, so that whatever the services provided by Salesforce will be used by both the instances like ICICI and HDFC from the single tenant. So that will help the customer to for the cost effective, I mean to say. Whereas whereas if you are dealing with other Salesforce, other CRMs, it is like single tenant architecture. It is most cost effective for the other if you are going with other CRM applications. So that's the reason from the level 1 company to level 5 companies, I mean to say from small business to large business, they are easy to use the Salesforce. It is like cost effective. That's just given you an information about the multi-tenant architecture. That is not about any interview perspective or any Salesforce, just to give you knowledge what's happening with the Salesforce servers and all. And after that, we just to explore more about the Salesforce, you need to have some basic terminology here. Just I have compared with the database with the Salesforce. Table in the database, here we'll refer it as object, and columns in the table will be referred as fields there. And the record, whatever the data we have in the table, that is like record. Here we are going to refer it as record or rows. And in the entire Salesforce CRM, as an Salesforce consultant, you are going to deal two things here. One is configurations and the other one is customizations. So this is only the terminology wise I given that in the notepad, where the customizations and configurations, you need to have the knowledge on both the things. I mean to say configuration and customization. What is configuration here? Configuration is nothing but creating an users in the system or creating a security concepts. This everything comes under configuration part. Whereas customization is something where you are creating some extra functionality to the existing system. I mean to say, now let's say if you have created an account for the Salesforce, 60% of the project or 70% of the applications already there, right? If your client would like to have extra functionality, or let's say some of the core records, I mean to say some of the tables or objects already available in the database, right? Like let's say account, contacts, leads, opportunities. These are the core records. What is core records here? Core records are nothing but this is like main or the important tables available in the database, so that different application will use these tables or objects. That is nothing but core records. So now let's say that your client wants to have some extra functionality. For that extra functionality, you may need to have to create some extra objects or tables in the database. Whatever the operation you are going to perform to create a tables or to design some extra processes, right? This everything comes under customization. So now you know what is the difference like customization and configuration, right? So as a Salesforce consultant, we are going to learn both configuration and customization in this Salesforce. This is what actually we are discussing on the day. And after that, we have created a trail account as well. For the trail account, I just used one of my personal email ID. And to log into the trail account, you can simply use login.salesforce.com. Here, this is my mail ID or the user ID, which is generated to my email inbox, Yaksha IT May Batch 755, and with the password. So you can simply go with the login.salesforce.com instead of remembering all this particular instance, right? Switch to lightning experience, and after that we have discussed what is UI introduction. I mean to say user interface introduction, how the interface looks like. That's what we are discussing in the previous sessions. So here I have explained how the look and feel of Salesforce, how to navigate between the different functionality. I mean to say what all these items we have discussed at this part, and how to switch between the different applications or clouds. You can also refer it as applications or clouds, right? And what is dashboard, what is tabs, what is objects, and where we can see the object from the object manager, what is setup. This is what we are referring in the previous sessions. So if anyone has missed the session, please go through the same YouTube where we have the video got uploaded into the YouTube. So please refer it. So if you have any queries, then please respond, or you can ping me in the WhatsApp group or separately to me, so I can help you to understand. And let's start the today's topic. Just for a continuation to the previous session, we have created an account. That means on the day, just we have created an account with the name user Yaksha IT as an user. That is first name and last name, right? So what would be the next action generally once you are creating any Salesforce account? So immediately you need to define your company's information, right? And what is your working hours? And what is the calendar? What are the resources available? This is what actually our agenda, right? So to set up your Salesforce account, I mean to say after creating a Salesforce account, you need to set some company's information or whatever the details. How to set up this information? Let's see that part. To navigate to the setup, on the day we just discussed it, right? This is like a gearbox icon or a setup icon, settings icon. Here you can click on the setup. This setup is nothing but if you want to configure or customize the system, you should be in the setup window. and apart from it, if you are whatever the screen you are seeing here, this is the front-end user who can access the Salesforce. Here you can't customize or configure the system. This is just this is just the screen which is used to use the application of sales application or sales cloud, right? So if you want to customize something, like if you want to add some extra tab here or remove the existing tab or whatever, you want to create some dashboards. So everything can be carried out in this setup page. So this is the setup page, and home, you know, and object manager, which is a tab where you could see all the objects available in the system. That is, whatever the tables available in the database, that everything will be showcased in this object manager. This is we are discussing, right? Now let's see how to set up the company's information and all. So here, simply, this is the quick find. On the day we are just discussing, quick find is nothing but to search the items from this list. And this is the global search where you can search the items from throughout the database. So to set up the company information, just go with company information here. Click on this company information. So I mean to say, after setting, after creating a trial account, just to set up your company information and all. So this is what it looks like. Company info YIT. So Yaksha IT, that is the name I have provided while creating the Salesforce account. Organization name is YIT, primary contact, and address, physical, like financial year, like January is from the January it is showing. So now let's say if you want to change from January to March. So that's what the setup we are performing here. And newsletters or admin newsletters, if any newsletters from the Salesforce or whatever, it will send the newsletters. And this is like primary information where you could see. And the main thing which you need to consider here, this is default time zone, whatever the time zone we have created and all. Here it shows organization edition developer thing. So while creating a Salesforce account, I said use the developer.salesforce.com, right? So here in the URL itself, it shows DVED, that is development edition. So this is the instance. Here it talks about what is the edition you are using for the Salesforce. There is different editions available on the trial. While discussing the demo session, I have explained different editions we have, like unlimited, professional, enterprise, group edition, and developer, right? These are the editions available for the Salesforce. And currently we are making use of developer edition to creation of trial account. An instance is nothing but, this is like CAN is nothing but Canadian region, where Salesforce will maintain the different servers in the different location. And once we created a trial account, they have allocated space in the Canadian region server. That's what it indicates, right? When this got created, when the last modified. And if you scroll down here, you could see the user licenses. Here, Salesforce total licenses is 4, user licenses is 2. Remaining licenses is 2. So that means totally whenever you are creating any users in the system, I mean to say, once you are creating a trial account, these are the default licenses available for the developer edition. What is this licenses actually? Now, Salesforce is a license, Analytic Cloud Integration is a license, Chatter Free is a license. That means based upon the license, you can perform some actions in the system. Now, let's say you want to interact with the Salesforce to do the customization or configuration. Definitely, you should be having the Salesforce license. Without Salesforce license, you can't customize or configure the system. Now, let's say here, Chatter Free. What is this Chatter Free? You know, the internal communication system. I mean to say, any organization should have some modem where they can communicate with each other, maybe internal user with the customer. If you are ever now, let's say we are connecting this with the Zoom meeting, right? And if you take the Microsoft, there is a Microsoft Teams, where application Microsoft Teams for internal communication. In the same way, Salesforce provide Chatter Free. So this is the license. Now let's say you want to use the Chatter Free, where let's say here this is my Yaksha IT. Now let's say my organization is a big in size, like hundreds of users are there. Now, if I want to communicate with my colleague, so for that you should have the Chatter Free license. So for this Chatter Free license, if you have the Chatter Free, then you can able to interact with your colleagues. And if you want to work with the integration part, so then they need to have the Analytics Cloud Integration user. This is how they will define different licenses for different editions. right? And if you purchase the developer, I mean to say now we have the trial account. So in this trial account, they are providing Salesforce total licenses for user licenses to and remaining licenses to. That means I can use only 2 users as a Salesforce user here. I can use I have only 2 licenses for the Salesforce. That is like limitation as it is like trial. This is free of service, right? And we'll discuss in more in depth about the licenses in the coming session. But this is where the place you could see all the licenses, whatever the company information and how much licenses you have for the company. And if you want to edit something, you can simply click on edit button, and you can also make changes to your company information. Now, if you want to change something, you can go with it, right? And here red mark, which it shows required information. Without providing the data with the required information, the form will not save, right? You can change. Now, let's say you feel like daylight time, you want to make it IST, you can go with it. And currency local, where USD or Indian, you can select whatever you want. So this is what the basic company information. If you want to edit something, this is the page, right? And this is the licenses. And coming to the permission set licenses and feature licenses, this is going to be discussed at the while discussing the security concept. So what is this permission set in the sense? Permission set is an separate concept where we are going to discuss that part while dealing with the security concepts. Why this security comes into the picture? Now let's say I have like hundreds of users available in my Salesforce. And some of the users work as a salesperson, some of them as a sales representative, some of them as a sales manager, and one as a vice president of sales. So here the hierarchy, if you see the roles there, roles are different from salesperson to sales manager. The security should be different, right? The sales manager can have view on all the records, whereas salesperson should not have the big level view there. So to restrict the data access and all, we are going to use the security concept. So at that time, we are going to discuss this permission sets and all, right? But now just I am trying to explain the scenarios like step by step. We have prepared the program in a step-by-step thing. So I'm just giving an introduction. What is permission sets here? While we are discussing the topic, we'll discuss in detail about this permission sets and all. And this is the page where we could see all the company information. Let me put this in the notepad so that whatever we have discussed, that will be covered here. Let me take the new notepad. Company info. So for this navigation here, in the top right corner, as you are new to the Salesforce, just giving some notes here so that it will help you to from here, click on setup in quick find, search company information, right? This is where company information you can see. So after this company information, you can see here company information. Here you could see some of the settings like company settings. This is the place where you can set all these items. Like let's say business hours. So if you want to set the business hours, now currently it shows default Pacific daylight time of so and so. So if you want to edit something or if you want to give the new business hours, you can give the business hours. Business hours name, let's say APAC, APAC, EMEA and NAM. Regularly the companies used to have the different shifts. APAC maybe from morning, just comparing with the IST time, morning 6 to afternoon 2 shift will consider as APAC, right? And EMEA from 1:30 of after 1:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at EMEA, and NAM region from 7 p.m. to early morning 4 or 5 a.m. right? That is NAM. So just giving the name. Now let's say you have some users, you are going to assign have some users with the APAC time zone. Just give the APAC and let's say with the 24 hours, or you can define some time as well here, right? So you can also have some time here like this. So this is how you can set some time. Just I'm not going with all the things. Why this is required in the sense, while discussing the security concepts, we can also restrict the users. Now let's say I have added user Suresh as to an attack business hours. I mean to say now for the user Suresh, I'm just giving the attack business hours there. Then what will happen? I can also with the security concepts in the future, with the security concepts, I can also restrict the user Suresh to not to log into my account or my instance, even though he has the username, password, even though he has the Salesforce license and all, still I can restrict that user not to access my system outside the business working hours. From 9 to 5 only he can able to log in. On other timings, I cannot able to log in. That is one scenario. In the other scenario, now let's say any customer was trying to reach my user Suresh in non-working hours or non-business hours. Then it will be used, this business user hours can be used to automatically trigger a reply email to the client stating that, hey, he is out of business working hours. So that's for this different reasons we can use this business hours. So where you can set the business hours from the company setting, this is the business hours. You can set the business hours for the different users, right? And coming to the public calendar and resources. Now, you know, any organization can have some public calendars. Here, the public calendar can be used in two ways. Now, let's say in every company, there will be different resources available. Resources may be the conference rooms or projectors or whatever. So for the internal purpose, they can also book some conference room. Now, let's say in one company, there will be different projects, different meetings parallelly happening. So if they want to book some conference room there, so they can create some calendar events here, right? So I mean to say, I want to use the conference room one. So this is like whatever the resources you have, they can add the resources and they can book the resources. Further, they can use this public calendar and resources. And company information, just we discussed what is company information and all. Data protection and privacy. And this is like one-time job, I could say. I mean to say, now if you are recruited with any company, let's say you are recruited with any company, then that is like this is like one-time job. By the time this setup already done, as you know, this setup will already done. Just if you want to analyze, if you want to see what's the company information and all, you can navigate here and you can check. This is like one-time job actually while setting up your Salesforce account. And coming to the data protection and privacy. So what is this data protection in the sense while you are purchasing with the Salesforce license? So there is some, if you see the terms and conditions there will be different data protection and data policies for the different regions. Now let's say United Kingdom, UK has a different data protection, different data privacy rules. For US it is different, for Australia it is different. So just we are satisfaction, we are just by default it is like checkbox where we are just providing the data privacy. I mean to say if you have any customers, you are dealing with any customers. As per the data protection policy, you know, right? You know, you are not going to share the emails to anyone. In that way, this is like data protection and privacy. And financial year. So by default, it shows financial year as January. Now let's say your financial year will start from April, right? Is based on the ending month. So you can also change the financial year of your company, where from January to March, or you can set this financial year so that you can have the financial year configuration here. Now, whatever the things we are doing, this everything comes under configuration part only. That means just we are using the system and we are just configuring the system. This everything comes under configuration. Just we are using the properties and we are just changing the properties of the system, right? And holidays, for the holiday calendar, you can have the holidays here, like whatever the holidays, you can create the holidays here so that your company users can able to see the holidays list on that. And this language setting is important. Now, let's say if you are now, let's say like big company, let's say like BMW again, it's like global organization. The BMW has like employees from different countries, from India, China, Japan, like that, right? So now let's say I'm good with the English. I can use the English language to access my Salesforce account. And the person from China, he would like to access the Salesforce account from Chinese. Let's say the Chinese, it supports the Chinese as well. Here you could see like different languages and all, right? Now, if any user logs into the system, And if they want to see the Salesforce in the China, then you need to enable, as a system administrator, you need to enable end user languages, and you need to enable the platform only languages. That means if you are just enabling this, these are the available languages and these are the display languages. So whatever the box you are seeing the right side, these languages are permitted. Now let's say if you want to allow the Indonesian, just select it. So now any user wants to access the instance from the Indonesian language, they can able to access the application with a different language. That means Salesforce is a multilingual where it supports multi languages as well. This is the language settings where you can provide permission to the users to access the system from the different languages, right? And coming to my domain, here my domain is nothing but whatever the Salesforce account you have created, it creates some domain URL like this, right? This is your domain name. And standard here, mysalesforce.com is like standard one. Up to this level, it is standard, like whatever the organization. Now, let's say I have created this instance with my mail ID, and you have created some other instance. You can also see my.salesforce.com on your domain URL. That is like common URL for all the Salesforce users. And dev ed.develop, that's just explained. It is like developer instance. And what is this domain settings in the sense? The organization URL, I mean to say, the URL redirection. What is URL redirection? Uh, if you are typing something, now let's say here to access the Google, simple, I used to go with google.com. It will take me to the google.com. Otherwise, now let's say I will go with GOGLE as well. So, and still it takes to the google.com. That means here, of course, Google has purchased both the things, the Google and GOGLE, just to navigate things. In the same way, now let's say what I'm trying to explain here. Now let's say you want to search abc.com and or suresh.com. Both the links should navigate to the suresh.com website only. That means URL redirection, right? So if you are typing the different URL, still it should go to the targeted instance or targeted URL. So that is like URL redirection concept we have, where we have some routing rules there. So to have this routing rules and URL redirection, here we are going to use this page and routing and policies. Here we are going to set up. Here you could see the redirections and all. Here we are going to configure what is the different, what is the other URL and how we are going to redirect and all. So that's we are going to see in coming session. This is where the my domain place where you can have this redirection concept can be implemented here. So whatever the redirection, whatever the URL, you can paste the URL here and it will redirect. But live, we can demonstrate that one, as we need to have the different domains which we already purchased, right? But we'll discuss in detail. This is like my domain place. And this is about the company information. And most important thing is storage. So if you are purchasing license with any company, you need to have the knowledge on the storage, right? So what about the storage now? So any companies, now let's say you are dealing with Salesforce or any CRM applications. So what is the amount you are investing there? What is the storage they are allocating to you? As you know, if you are dealing with the live things, there will be hundreds and thousands of lakhs of data will be there. So it will consume more space in the backend, right? So for that, you as a consultant, you should be aware what's happening with the backend, what's the Salesforce was doing. I mean to say, here, now let's say this is my accounts table, account object, where this account consists of all my customers information, right? This is my customer information. Here in the front end, user can simply click on the tab and see the data, but where actually this data is getting stored. Now, let's say if for this particular account, I want to upload any files for this user. I mean to say the documents related to this contact, this particular account. So where this documents is going to store and where this particular data is going to store. This you need to have the knowledge, right, as a consultant. So to understand this part, you need to understand. So let me add this one, business hours and calendar. So for the calendar, you can go with the other items there. And coming to the storage there. So whatever the database we have, you have, how the Salesforce will design in the sense, here, whatever the database, that will be segregated into different parts. I mean to say, one is like data, that is like data storage, and one is like file storage, and the other one is like big object storage. So this is how the database will be segregated into 3 parts. Now let's say, just to give you a basic understanding, now let's say I have the 100 GB of space. Just I am trying to explain what's happening in the backend, right? For the 100 GB, you have like different objects or tables like accounts, contacts, right? Leads. These are like different tables I have, like hundreds of tables. Now for each and every table, this applies. Let's say for the account table, it divided into 2 parts. One is like data and file. Now what will happen for the account? Now let's say account, one of the record in the account is Suresh. And Suresh name, Suresh address, Suresh phone number, this is nothing but the data. This everything will be saved in this data partition. Now, if I am trying to upload some documents related to the Suresh, then that particular documents will be stored in this file area. That's how in the backend Salesforce will maintain. This is automatically taken care by the Salesforce. We are not going to bother about how it is maintaining. But as a Salesforce consultant, you should understand what's happening in the backend, right? So that's the reason I'm just focusing on this part. Now, this is not only for the accounts table. Whatever the tables available are the tables available in the database, that's the common for each and every table. That's how the data stores in the backend, right? This is about storage. And what is big object storage here? Now, let's say you are having a table. You know that this table is going to have the huge data in this table. I mean to say, now contact, if you say take the contact, this contact table which I can use only to save my contact, like contact name, phone number, email address, and address. That's it. And leads, just for the lead, who is the person interested to purchase my product, this person name, and email, mode of contact. This is the basic data where I can save in the leads. Now let's say the activities is one of the table. Let's say, just taking an example of activity table, where each and every action with that particular customer, everything I'm going to maintain in the activity table. That means for a single customer, I'm going to have multiple records I'm going to create in that particular table with huge data as well. It's like regular process. For one record, at least 10 times I'm going to update the table. I mean to say 10 records I'm going to create for a single customer. I have lakhs of customers here. So lakhs into 10 instead, it's like more than millions of records. So that means you know that this table is going to occupy big space. So for these type of objects, you are going to define while creating an object. Again, what is object? The table in the database is nothing but object. You need to refer it as object only. So while if you aware that this object is going to take a huge space, then while creating an object, you are just defining it as a big object there. So there is a single tick mark, which I'm going to explain in the coming sessions. So while creating an object, we are just selecting the checkbox there. So just telling to the system, saying to the system, this is going to be a big object. So in that scenario, what will happen? The Salesforce will allocate space to that big object in this big object storage space. Got it? That's how the storage will be maintained in the backend. To analyze, to see how the storage and which table is occupying more space, to analyze the things, you can also get that information from the setup page. Here, search with the storage here, and you could see the data storage usage. Select this data storage usage. Here, data storage, file storage, and big object storage. And as you know, this is very limited version, like trial account. Here it shows currently there is like limited data. On the accounts table, we have the data, and remaining no. And data wise, it occupies 5 MB, and it provides the limit as 5 MB as an maximum data storage they have provided. For the file storage 20 and big object 1000. So in this we have used 344 KB for the data, for file storage 17 KB. So whatever the percentage used, that even the percentage thing. That means this is the storage which I have, and this is what I have used. This is the page where storage use will provide you the information about the storage. And if you see here, current data storage usage, in the opportunities, I have total 31 record count, which occupies the storage of 62. That means total percentage in the here 18%. That means for the table by table, you are able to see how many records are there, how much storage it is occupying, right? In the same way, file storage and what is the record type on documents and photos, I could see the 2 count, and this is the storage which it occupies. And current big object storage usage, currently no. And which user was consuming more space? I mean to say which user has created more records or more files. That also you can able to see here. Top users who use it by data storage usage. And these are the users list. What is users that we are going to discuss? Currently, we have created a Salesforce account with the Yaksha IT. And what are the other 3? These are the system users. So these users are these are the users this much storage, right? And coming to the files, you could see what are the users who consumed more file storage. These are the users. This is again the system users. So this is how the storage information which you could see. To understand the storage, this is the things which you need to remember, right? Storage, and what is storage, what is data store, what is file, and what is big object. This is about the storage. Now let's say you know how to create a trial account now, and how to set up the company's information, and what is storage or not. Now what would be the next thing after you are creating a trial account? You need to create users in the Salesforce, right? Then only this particular application to be used by different users. So to have that one, you need to create different users in the system. So let's try to analyze let's try to see how to create an user. Before creating an user, here we have the Yaksha IT user, right? Let's try to understand what is user, how the system looks like, and what is the important things available, or what are the important things which we need to consider for the user. Again, to have the user thing in the home for the setup, you can simply go with the user here. Here you could see the user. There is different concepts like permission set, permission profiles, public groups, queues, and all this. Everything will be like security concept for the user will be updated. So before to it, users. This is the place where you could see the list of users in your system. Chatter expert, Epic, IT Yaksha, user integration users. These are the some of the system users automatically created for any Salesforce account. And here you need to remember, you should not delete the system users. And of course, the system won't allow you to delete as well, but you can't do anything with the system users. Right? And here you could see it.yaksha. This is the first name and last name I have provided, and this is my alias name. This is my user which I created. So before creating a new user, try to analyze how this user and what actually consists for this user. And the name alias automatically picked by the system. First 3 letters will be taken as alias, and email ID which you have provided the Gmail, and username automatically generated by the system, and nickname, and this is the company information. And now let's say your company has like different departments and divisions. You can have these department and divisions. And the time zone, you can have the time zone, the language and local language, and system language it shows. And what else here? The important thing here is user licenses and profile. These are the 2 things which is very important while creating an user. This role is nothing but any organization will have some roles, right? Roles is like regular. Now let's say you have joined in any company like Infosys. There will be a consultant, senior consultant, manager, TL, team leader. Like that is nothing but the role here. And the license is nothing but, as I said, in the previous screen, while seeing the company information, we have seen some of the licenses available. For Salesforce, it shows 2 licenses is available, right? So that means I have the system automatically provide 1 Salesforce user license for the user Yaksha IT. Because of this user license, I was able to access my system. I can able to configure the system, or I can able to customize the system because of this user license. And what is profile here? Profile is going to play an important role. Profile is nothing but just to make you understand on the profile. Now, let's say you have any Android or iOS mobile, Apple mobile, right? So you have like different profiles there. I mean to say there is a silent mode, vibration mode, or louder mode. What does it mean? If you are just selecting the silent mode, your ringtone will be silent. There will be like different features for that mode, right? If it is in vibration mode, if you are getting a message, it is vibrated. If you are getting a phone call, it is vibrated, and your volume is mute. That is, different specifications will be available for different modes. In the same way, just taking that example. Here in Salesforce, in the same way, here we are going to have a different profiles each and every profile has different functionality. Each and profile has different access levels. Getting my point? So if you are the system administrator, the profile as a system administrator, then he is going to have the ultimate powers in the Salesforce. I mean to say, if you are the system administrator, you can create an objects, you can delete an objects, you can provide permissions to other users, you can create some new profiles, right? You can create new users. Everything can be performed if your profile is system administrator only. That means system administrator is like ultimate privilege where he can do anything in the system. There is like different profiles is available. Let's see that part. And before to it, here it shows active. Whenever the user is getting created, by default it is active. And if this user needs to use as a marketing user or a knowledge user, like whatever the user, you can select the tick mark, right? And then this is like regular newsletters. You can enable it if want. By default, it will automatically takes. And start of the day, the time, end of the day, it has the things there. Otherwise, you can simply give the business hours to that users. And when the user has logged in and last password change, this everything information you could see here, and created by who created this one, and this is the information. And along with it, the permission sets. So if you have providing any permission to that user, you can assign that permission sets. The permission sets can be discussed in detail the later. Now let's say if you want to change or edit something about this user, click on edit here. So you could see you can whatever the things. Now let's say you want to specify some role. Now let's say CEO as a role. I can view these are the some of the roles available in the Dynamics CRM. If you want to create a new role, that is also possible. Here you can go to the roles and you can create a new role. Now let's say here it shows CEO, CFO, and support and all. Now you are dealing with some IT company, and this particular roles is not suit for you. Then you can create your own roles as well. That's up to you, right? And license will automatically selected as we are going with the Salesforce and all. And here there is like list of profiles is available. It got some latency issue. Yeah. So these are the list of profiles. We'll discuss these profiles in detail. And here you could see name as system administrator, user license Salesforce. And if you want to change the profile, you can also change the profile to that user. So this is the what is the profile here? System administrator. This system administrator in the sense here it shows some of the tables and all. So whatever this is how we are going to define the profile. These profiles I will discuss these profiles while discussing the profile concept. I don't want to confuse you now. So we'll go step by step here and click on edit. And this is the profile, and this is where you can customize the things. While editing the things, you could see the mailing address where you can provide what is the address of the user and all, right? And local settings, you can change the local settings from whatever the local settings they are going with. I mean to say now you have some data with the dates or currency or whatever. This is the things where in the Pacific Daylight Time, American Los Angeles time it will reflect. I mean to say you are dealing with any dates. So it will show as per this time zone. So if you want to see in IST time zone, you can simply change the IST time zone for that user, right? And approver settings, what is delegated approver and manager? For any user, there will be some managers, right? You can give this manager there. Now, if you want to have any approvals from your manager and your manager was not there, it might be out of office, or he is not within after 3 to 4 days as well, still he is not approving your things. Maybe he missed the thing. Then delegated approver is nothing but the person next to your manager who can have the approval permission. I mean to say delegated approver, that means we are defining here. That means if your manager was not approving, delegated approver can also approve. So that's how this is like inbuilt application. That's how the Salesforce has designed. So this is delegated approver can be used if you have any approval things. If your manager was not approving, you can give another name here. I mean to say while setting up the users, they will define the system like this. So this is the another person who can approve apart from manager. That delegated approval information can be provided here, right? So what is this users and all? Again, here you need to simply select the user there. Currently, we have only one user, Yaksha IT. So that's the reason we can't show you the how to just clicking on this magnifier, we'll select the other user name. So whatever the manager we have, in a simple select that manager name here, right? This is how you can edit the user. Now let's say how to create a new user. That's like simple in the quick thing. Let's create before creating a user. There is one thing in the interview perception they will ask what is freeze and what is user deactivate. What is the difference between freeze and user deactivation? So there might be an interview question: user deactivate or freeze. So what is the difference between freeze and user deactivate? This type of questions may ask in the interview. So that means now let's say this Yaksha IT is a user with the Salesforce license. I have allocated one license to this user. Now Yaksha IT is a user who on vacation for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, let's say. Now I don't want this user to access my application or my Salesforce instance as he is on vacation. So, but this Yaksha IT user has some records. It has some process. I mean to say records in the sense, now let's say he has some customers. Yaksha IT is a person who is dealing with some customer. That customer information records was created by Yaksha IT. That means he owned that record. But still, as he is on vacation, I should not give permission to the Yaksha IT user to access the Salesforce account. In that scenario, you can simply uncheck the active button there. So you can uncheck this is not allowing the to active edit in the sense. Why? Because this is my default Yaksha IT and this is my default user. So I am accessing my user, so I can't edit my user. So that's the reason it is not enabling it. So to see that way, if you see here new user. So while creating a user or after saving the user, you can enable this one or you can disable this one. If you are disabling, if you are unchecking this active, that is nothing but user deactivation. So what will happen if you are deactivating the users in the sense? Just the license will be user deactivation in the sense license will be here the whatever the license you have provided, license will be removed and can be used. So they will ask the question in terms of license perspective. I mean to say, now you have two Salesforce licenses there, and one user you have deactivated the user. Then the license will be deallocated from that user. I mean to say, there is two licenses for the Salesforce. One license was provided to Yaksha IT and one for the Suresh. And you want to create a new user and Yaksha IT is nowhere active. So you can, if you are deactivating the user Yaksha IT in the sense, you can reuse that license to the other user. That means once you are deactivating the user, the license will be removed and can be reused to another user. That is called, that is user, while you are deactivating the user, this will happen. But what is freeze here? Freeze is nothing but, now let's say Yaksha IT went on a vacation for 2 months. He is still with my company, just on the vacation. So just I want to block the user not to access the system. So then I will just freeze the user. How you can freeze the user? Here from the user, here there is a freeze button in the top. This is default user. While creating the new user, I can show you. Here it will show the freeze button. So if you click on the freeze button, then what will happen? Here license still with the user, but the user cannot log into the Salesforce account. Let me add that point. So what is the difference between user deactive and freeze? This is like one sort of interview question you may expect in the interviews. So if you are deactivating the user, the license will be deallocated from that user and that license can be used to the another user. And the user is no more. User cannot able to log into the system. And what is freeze? Freeze can be used when the user was on the vacation. Simply you are just freezing the account. That means the user cannot able to access the system, but still the license with the user only. That's what we need to remember with the freeze and user deactivate. So you know what is user information and all, what to be considered while creating a user. Quickly create a user here, new user. Now let's say Ashok is the user. Just I'm trying to create with the user, and you see Ashok. It takes the first letters and email address, email. Currently we don't have the email. Just giving some dummy email here, yit.com. You can also do with the same. It's like dummy email and username and title. You can go with the Mr. and company YIT. This is how the basic information which you need to consider. And here you could see the red mark. This is like required information. Without providing the required information, you can't save the form. And user licenses here, there it says Salesforce. I'm just using the Salesforce so that I can give some, I can allow the user to access my Salesforce account. I meant to say I can allow the access to create, configure or customize the system. Now let's say channel sales team and profile here. You could say these are the different profiles available for the by default. These are the different profiles available for the Yaksha IT. It is not showing to select this one. Why? Because this is like by default Yaksha IT user who created the Salesforce and you logged in as an Yaksha IT, so you can't edit your own user details. So if you want to have edit the things, then another system administrator should edit that one, right? So this is the list of things we have. Let's say standard user. So what is the standard user and system administrator? It has like different privilege. Based upon the profile, they are going to have different access. We'll discuss in detail about the profiles. Here it is active and these are the some of the items. Let it be now let's say the manager for him. I can simply select the manager, Yaksha IT as a manager, right? And could generate new password and notify users immediately. It will, of course, it won't generate. Why? Because ashok@yit.com is not there. So for this email ID, it will try to send an email. But we don't have that email, so we can't do that one. Now here you could see the user was created in the system. Now let's say this is like freeze button where it is showing now. Click on the freeze button. If you are clicking on the freeze button, that means the license is still with the user, but the user cannot able to log in, right? Or if you see the company information, under the licenses, previously for the Salesforce, we have shown user license as 2. Now it shows user license as 3 and remaining is only 1 license. So if you are going with the freeze, still the license with the user, that means user is 3 only, right? Now you can also test. This is how just to have some, even though from basic to complex, just try with the practical thing so that it will be, you will not forget. That's what here, this is what freeze. Now let's say unfreeze it. And you are just click on edit to deactivate the user. So how to deactivate the user? Simply check this active button. Deactivating users removes them from all the delegated groups and sharing privileges. Whatever the permissions you have provided to the user, that everything will be removed, right? Save. Just I have deactivated the user. So what will happen if the user getting deactivated? So that might be one of the question. Before to it, let's see what will in the license perception. Here you could say user license 2. Now you got the point. So if you are deactivating the user, the license will be removed and can be used to another user. Now here it shows only 2 user license, remaining license is 2. The user is created and we just deactivated. But if you are just freezing the user, then what happened? If you are freezing the user, the license is still with the user, right? But the user cannot able to log into the system. That's the difference. Now, what will happen if I am deactivating the user? Whether the user is going to delete from the system? No. The user remains in the system. That means you can't, whenever you are deactivating the user, he cannot have access to the system, but the user record still remains in the Salesforce, right? Here we just given at yit.com, but in general, what will happen if I am dealing with BMW company? So suresh@BMW, ashok@bmw.com. So bmw.com is the BMW's domain. So no other company's users can create with the same name, right? So this is remains the same throughout your career. I mean to say throughout your Salesforce career. This now let's say you are working with the BMW and you have changed the company, and after 2 years you are in the other company. But still you are not there with the company, your account remains same there. So your account still exists, but it's in the deactivate mode. Getting my point? This is how the users and all we can create. So if you want to edit something and again you want to provide the licenses or the thing, it's like same scenario. You can just activate it, save it, right? This is how the users can be created, and this is how the users can be created. User deactivate or freeze option. So the interviewer may, to confuse you, they may ask, can I delete the user from the Salesforce? No, you can't delete the user. Just you can deactivate the user. These type of questions will come from the user perspective, right? Just for a recap, it's almost 9:57. Just for a recap, today we just discussed after creating a trial account, how to set up the company information, business hours, calendars, and all this stuff. And after that, we just try to explore how the storage, I mean to say, how the Salesforce is maintaining the storage thing and all. There is three types. One is data storage, file storage, and big object storage. Whatever the tables you are going to have in the database. For all the tables or objects, they are going to segregate the space into two different parts. One is for the data thing and another for the file part. And if you have any big objects, while defining the object, you are going to define the system as it is going to be a big object with simple checkbox there. So then automatically that table, that object will be created in the will be used this big object storage. Further, just I demonstrated. Now let's say 100 GB. Here 30 GB is for big objects thing, and 70 GB is for the regular objects. And in the 70 GB for all the tables, it will be segregated into two parts, like data and file. That's how it maintains in the backend. This is just for your knowledge purpose, right? And how to create a user, where to see the user. Again, from the setup, this is the navigation. In the quick find, you can search all these items. Here you can search with users directly. There it will show you the sum of the users. One user as the user you have created, like Yaksha IT, and remaining are the system users, right? And if you want to create a new user, how to create, we have seen, and what is freeze and what is deactivate, we have discussed it today. In the tomorrow's session, that's like core concept which we are going to touch tomorrow, like data model. So to start with the Salesforce, you need to understand what is data model and what is objects, how to create objects, what are the types of objects and all. This is what we are going to discuss in the tomorrow's session. And from the tomorrow, we are going to start actually the application. If time permits, we are going to start creating the application tomorrow. So whatever the concepts we have, every concept will be added to that application. That's for today. Please let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, let me know if you have any question. Yeah, I will take the silence as no questions, and we can wind up the session for today. And if you still have the questions, you can also ping in the WhatsApp group, or you can also ping separately to me. Thank you all.